Hey guys, this is Scott LaFall with my week 3 teaching presentation for CSE 340 Applied Programming, and my topic is database concepts, tables, fields, and records. So I'm happy to be with you today. I'm going to go through this stuff kind of quickly because I think most of us know this. So I'm just going to, anyhow, database is an organized collection of structured information. So it's usually electronic, of course. It's controlled by a DBMS, and together it's called the whole system. This is a graphic of a database management system with the underlying structures, the engine in the middle, and the APIs delivering and gathering data. A table, a named data set organized by rows and columns, and it contains records of a specific type. That have a specific relation to each other or a unique relation. The table usually represents like an entity or a quality or a phenomenon. And it's the main form of data storage in a relational database. And it can actually be called a relation. That can be another name for a table, but that's more correct if it has no duplicates, doesn't allow duplicates. A table forms the data structure, or columns form the table structure, and rows form the content. And again, tables are also known as relations or data frames. Here's a graphic of several tables in a company database. A record. A record is a unique instance or element of a table data set representing a single specific instance or example of the relation in the table. So it's an instance within the table. The table might be employees, and the record is Frank, who is a data analyst. A table is also known as a row observation, a record is also known as a row, observation, instance, case, sample, example, member, tuple, or element, and it all depends on the context, really. Here's a little graphic of a single table with one record highlighted. A field. A field, also known as a feature, is an individual property of a phenomenon or entity, or an individual property within a table, in other words. A field may also be called a column, a feature, an attribute, a variable, or a property, and again, kind of depends on the context. All the possible values for a field in a table are known as the attribute domain or the feature domain for that field. Here's a graphic again of a table showing the fields and records kind of highlighted. A cell is just the intersection of the row address and the column address within the table, and it represents a specific value that is an instance of the field for that record. So again, if Frank is an employee within he's a single instance within the employee table, and in the field of position he holds the analyst. That would be the cell value for Frank for that field or column. Another graphic. I do a little bit with database normalization, but I'm not going to spend too much time with it today because I want to go over a specific table. There's first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, which is considered the standard for a well-organized or well-structured database, is third normal form. And the developer of database normalization, Edgar Todd. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to show you, let me pause this for 1 second. The next thing that I wanted to go over is our project that we just worked on last week, and I'm going out on a limb by showing you my copy of the PHP Motors. But if you take a look at this, as we connect this up to database, the upgrades will come from a specific table, which represents that entity or characteristic. In this case, available upgrades. The reviews will come from a specific table, the table that contains and represents the reviews as a class or entity. Each individual review will be a row within the review table. And that row will contain at least 2 columns or fields. One will be the text of the review, and the other one will be the rating of the review. And as far as upgrades, the upgrades table will contain at least 3 columns or fields. It will contain a model of the car that those upgrades will work for. It will contain a reference to the graphic for that upgrade and the name of that upgrade. And it'll probably have additional columns as well, such as price and so forth. I wanted to go over, the last thing I wanted to go over was just to take a look at the PHP Motors database file and take a look at the specific table, the inventory table, real quick. It's got specific fields in it. For example, inventory ID, inventory make, inventory model, inventory description, and then individual rows or records, each one representing an instance, a specific instance of the class or relation that is in that table. So take, for example, the Ford, and it's a Model T. It has an inventory price of $30,000, which would also basically is the instance for that record or row of that feature, the feature being inventory price. And so these will be queried and using SQL, and then presented in response to user actions in the interface presented in the UI.